You're watching Quinn Gaming. Enjoy the video. Hey guys, Nary here from Quinn Gaming. Some of you know me on Twitter, The Gaming Dragon. Today I'm coming at you another Let's Play episode of Psychic Connections, Elliot's Path. So, as some of you are aware, the last episode of Psychic Connections, I finished up Jude's path. There's no new content for him in 0.7.2. However, we still have more for Elliot, and Aiden is also on that day as well. So, what I think I'm going to do next playthrough is going to be focused on Aiden, and then I'm going to do Quinn. And then I guess I will move on to another game until the game gets updated. I know, I love this game. But those devs, they're busy. They gotta take a break. And they'll have more content for us in 2022. And I'm gonna start linking the games on itch.io in the description for every video. Because I had a couple people wanting to know where to play them. So, alright guys, let's jump right into it. That's Jude. There we go. It's a fair question, and I'm not one, and I'm, blah. It's a fair question, and one I'm not sure how to answer. Yeah, what was the question? Oh. So how are you doing? I hope you didn't have any trouble last night. Okay. I can tell she's asking because she thinks something steamy probably happened between me and Elliot. Technically, she isn't wrong. However, it's not really the first thing I find myself wanting to talk about. The dream I had is still lingering in the back of my mind. I told Elliot, but he was pretty dismissive of it, and was sure it had just been a dream. I want to agree with him because of how strange it was, but it just felt too vivid. I want to talk about it with Zoe, but I'm not sure how to broach the subject. I suppose I could just dive into it. Well, I had a bit of a strange dream, only I'm not so sure it was a dream. It felt more real than any dream I've had before, and there was this voice. Zoe listens to me explaining the dream, and she doesn't say a thing until I finish retelling every detail. I tell her everything, from the black void to the strange voice to the strange falling at the end. Wow. That's it? Just... wow? What do you want me to say? I mean, it sounds crazy, even to me. So you don't believe me? No, I actually do. This sounds very similar to other stories I've heard about dream-based psychics. So you think my abilities might be tied to my dreams? At least in some capacity, it makes the most sense, especially if you've never noticed anything while you've been awake. However, paranormal activities in dreams are also harder to confirm. It's not like there's any physical proof of the happenings within dreams. What I recommend is that you keep a dream journal. It might help you figure all this stuff out. Zoe's smile falls as an expression of concern seems to take its place on her face. You okay? Well, it's just if what you said is true, someone out there has a grudge against me. The only thing is, I don't think I've met anyone named Dante, so I don't know why this person would be so upset with me. That is puzzling. Dante sounded like he definitely knew Zoe and the others. Yet, I'm sure Zoe would remember if she'd upset someone this greatly, especially given how she always knows when someone she meets is psychic. I don't get much time to linger on this, as my thoughts are immediately interrupted by two of my favorite words in the English language. Food's done! Elliot presents us all with a pile of mouth-watering, steamy burgers. Ah, steamed hams. Cooked perfectly medium and still sizzling on the pan. Quinn excitedly grabs a burger and slaps it into a bun that Elliot had brought. He then quickly scarfs it down before letting out a tiny belch. Meanwhile, Jude seems to inhale an entire burger in just one bite before grabbing another burger. Zoe and Aiden both seem to eat their burger slowly, opting instead to savor their meal. Elliot looks on at the others eating his food happily before taking a sample of the meat for himself. Despite being intrigued by the psychological aspects revealed by everyone's food etiquette, I'm absolutely starved and need this chunk of meat in my body. Oh, you could have phrased that differently, but I'm so glad you didn't. I have the juicy buns halfway down my throat by the time Zoe's... Come on, you guys know what you're doing when you wrote this. Come on. I have the juicy buns halfway down my throat by the time Zoe stands up and starts talking. Hey guys, so while we're eating, I just wanted to say a few words. Zoe shuffles back and forth a bit, her eyes passing over everyone with a large smile on her face. You're all really special to me, and I appreciate getting the chance to come out here like this. I don't want to get sappy, but I'm glad you're all still willing to do stuff like this. It feels like forever ago that it was a struggle to convince Quinn to leave his room, or to get Jude to talk about his feelings. What are you talking about? Jude still doesn't talk about his feelings. Only because I'm not nearly the sap the rest of you are. Alright, fair enough, but he's getting better about it. Aiden rarely did anything outside of school and work, and Elliot threw himself into the cafe after... Anyway, it's been a wild ride, and now we've got Mason joining us. I know that he's still a stranger to all of us, but I really do want him to feel welcomed. Everyone's eyes are on me now. Elliot and Quinn both flash me smiles, while Jude and Aiden seem to look at me with curiosity. I promise, Mason, we're going to figure out what your ability is for certain, and help you figure out how to properly manage it. Just like how we're going to keep working on improving ourselves. Normally, we'd be having a meeting tomorrow at the Hot Cup, but I figure since we're all here, we can just do it now. So, who wants to get started? Elliot? I turn my attention to Elliot, and he regards me for a moment before turning his attention to the group as a whole. Well, I don't really have much to report. I really only lost my cool once this week. There was a couple issues at the cafe. There was a couple causing issues at the cafe. The conversation dug at me a bit, but I managed to keep calm. Outside from a cracked window, nothing got broken. That dirtbag was lucky I didn't break him. That coffee stung like a bitch. Nevertheless, a cracked window isn't nothing, and we should be vigilant in making sure there are no more slip-ups. Elliot nods in agreement with Aiden's statement, yet his posture slouches a bit. Alright then, Aiden, your turn. Sure. For a moment, I think Aiden looks a bit nervous, but after a quick neckerchief adjustment, he begins speaking. The fare this year was surprisingly tolerable. While I still got headaches, it wasn't as bad as it had been last year. Outside of a drunken pledge ruining one of my blazers and getting into a small spat with Jude, my week went swimmingly. And do you know why that fight happened at all? Because, as I'm sure you'll tell me, I wasn't respecting Jude's boundaries. Zoe sighs. Based on Aiden's tone, he almost sounds like he doesn't really blame himself too much. Jude doesn't seem to pick up on this, or if he does, he has nothing to say on the matter. That's not all, but you both made plenty of strides today that I don't want to push it too much. Speaking of, Jude, it's your turn. Well, I ran into this punk that tried stealing some girl's wallet. Pulled him aside, and I was going to set him straight before Quinn showed up. Only because your version of setting him straight would have likely gotten you kicked off campus. Right. Anyway, beyond that, I mostly just kept having to pick up after one of my coworkers. I can't even count on my two hands how many mugs I saved from the floor. Alright, Jude, fine. I'll let her go after her next shift. Thank God, at least the others could do the job without breaking anything. Is it going to be difficult to finding a replacement? This might be the best time to bring this up, actually. So, this might be a weird time to apply, but I'm sort of looking for a job. Ooh, you're gonna hire Mason, right, Elliot? As fun as that does sound, I'd have to think about it. If you still find yourself seeking employment, I might be able to help you set you up with something, Mason. Thanks, I appreciate it. Alright, this is good. Quinn, it's your turn now. Quinn stands up now, and everyone turns their attention towards him. He wiggles in place for a moment, seemingly thinking about what to say. So, I'm sure you're all aware by now, I got into a bad scrape with my roommate this week. It was a shitty situation, but now that I'm rooming with Mason, I'm sure things will get better. Quinn flashes me an appreciative smile, and I nod his way. He coughs to clear his throat before continuing. Outside of that, my school week was okay. I've had a few visions, nothing worth sharing. Hey, we talked about this. You can always share those with us. I know I can, but a couple already happened. The others aren't too interesting. I had a vision of a pop quiz, but I have no idea when that will be. I spent most of my week just vibing with Mason in his room. Hey, it's our room now, Quinn. Have you two talked about rules as roommates yet? We've talked about one, but we've only had a couple days. I hadn't really even unpacked yet. Well, that's gonna change when we get back. We should make sure all our stuff is unpacked. Now that I've verbalized it, maybe I'll get off my lazy keister and actually do it. Anyway, thank you, Quinn. All that leaves now is Mason. Me? Yeah, we mostly talk about how we're managing our powers from week to week. Okay, well, I'm still getting used to Elmwood. I still don't really know where anything is. Beyond that, my first week of classes went fine. I looked to Zoe and the others for some form of confirmation that I'm even talking about the right things. Somehow, I feel stupid just recapping my week when the others talk specifically about their abilities. Easy, Mason. I can see you getting worked up. You're doing fine. Sorry, I guess I just feel weird not really knowing what to talk about. I guess my mind has been blown so much this week, and now I'm just curious to know more. Well, we've got all year to help you figure everything out, right, guys? Absolutely! Oh, it's gonna be so fun having someone else to talk to. If you have any issues, don't hesitate to come to me. We're all a friendly bunch, Mason, except for maybe Jude, but even that grump has his moments. I am not a grump. Jude says this behind a furrowed brow, perhaps even the grumpiest expression I've ever seen with him. It takes everything to hold back my laughter while the others continue poking fun. The night seems to pass us by like this until Aiden eventually separates himself from us in order to take pictures of the night sky. Bless me. Zoe and Quinn start giggling over something on her phone. Apparently it's something very funny because Quinn keeps kicking his feet. Meanwhile, Elliot begins cleaning up the pans from dinner, while Jude picks back up his whittling project. So, what do we do now? Oh my gosh, that's right, guys. Zoe had this great idea earlier. We should tell scary stories. Seriously? Based on his tone, it doesn't sound like Jude is fond of the idea. Yes, seriously, it'll be so fun. Seemingly finished setting up his stationary cameras, Aiden joins in with his own thoughts on the idea. I'm not sure I know any good scary stories. I've got a few I could tell, though to be honest, they might be a little too played out. I mean, it's not the worst way to pass the time. Who should start us off? How about you, Mason? I'm curious what kind of story you might come up with. Me? Yes! Oh, I'm so ready. I've already got chills. Everyone looks at me rather expectantly, and I can feel the peer pressure bearing down on me. I decided to tell a short story about a boy in a hospital who had a doll that talked to him. While waiting for surgery, the doll told the boy to do things in order to get better, and the boy obliged. However, when the boy finished doing everything the doll wanted and it was time for the boy's surgery, the boy woke up unable to move. When he looked across his hospital room, laying in his bed was a boy his size. Ooh, but he had the same face as his doll. I do my best to tell my story with as much theatrical flair as I am able to muster. Everyone looks at me in silence. Each of their faces bore a different expression. Quinn broke the silence first. That's it? What do you mean, that's it? It was the build-up. The kid just gets sick and then gets face-swapped with a mannequin? I mean, it was definitely creepy, but honestly a bit of a weak burn overall. Not to mention, most of the time, there's a moral to these sorts of stories. Don't make it out in the woods, be kind to strangers, follow the rules. What was the lesson of this story? Don't trust the words of a creepy mannequins? Wow, just a whole bunch of critics. Well, I rather liked it. Sure, it wasn't very scary or anything, but it was easy to follow. Isn't that just a roundabout way of saying my story was simplistic? What about you, Jude? What did you think? Jude's afraid of mannequins! Oh my god. Is Marky Jude. What? Oh, it was, whatever. Not even that scary. Fucking creepy dolls and having one swap faces with you. Yeah. Anyway, I'm gonna just go take a leak. Don't feel like you gotta wait for me. Just keep telling your stories. Jude gets up from his log and begins slowly walking towards the trees. His shoulders tense the entire way as he walks out of sight. Well, at least my story managed to get to one person. I should just take the wins where I can. Jude doesn't return until after 3 more stories are shared, and opts against sharing one for himself. The other stories are various levels of scary, and Quinn tells a particularly gruesome tale that is likely to haunt me for several days. I want to keep talking with everyone. Nevertheless, it's getting late, and I'm struggling to even keep my eyes open. I decide to offer my services to Elliot, and see if I can't somehow help with the pans. Walking over to the large panther, I see him scrubbing his pan diligently with a rag, occasionally rinsing the dish out with water. Any way that I can help? Ah, thank you for your offer, Mason. Really, I've only got 1 pan, though. Right, yeah. I suppose you've got a pretty good handle on that, then. What's on your mind? Nothing at the moment. I guess I'm just trying to think about what to do. Oh, and there we go. There is the little alarm. Thank you guys so much for watching. I think the next episode will probably be short. I think there's only content for day 6. So if it's short, you guys can expect a double upload. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching, putting up with my yawning. And don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and ring that notification bell to the next video. I love you all. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye!